Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hot Wholesale. Thank you guys so much for being here. If it's your first time on this channel, please subscribe. Go back to the previous videos. There is a ton of free information on virtual wholesaling. Today, I just wanted to go over some real estate basics. So a lot of times I make videos talking about a lot of things that have to do with virtual wholesaling. I know a lot of people are beginners though, and they don't know much about real estate yet. So when I'm talking and I'm saying all these acronyms, people are like, wait, what is that? So I wanted to take it all the way back to the basics today, go over some really important acronyms that you're going to hear a lot. You'll hear it from buyers, from other wholesalers, you'll hear it from the title companies. So you just want to make sure that you have these basics down before you even start trying to start a whole business, because knowledge is power, and the more you know, the more knowledgeable you're going to sound on the phone and the more deals you're going to get closed. So I put a list of a lot of the acronyms that you will hear. I just want to start with ARV. So ARV is after repair value. That's going to be the value of the home after it's all repaired, obviously. So when you're looking on PropStream and you're looking at comps, you're looking for ARV comps to compare your property to. So a comp is a comparable property. It's important to find ones that are newly rehabbed if you can. If they are something that was done in 2020, recently, maybe even 2019, and everything's really nice, updated, upgraded, and usually they're retail sales to like a first-time home buyer. Sometimes it will be to an investor who wants to rent it out, but most of the time the ARV comps are going to be retail sales. So you want to find those. Those are important because when you're advertising your deal, shopping around your wholesale deal, you want to make sure that you have an accurate number for ARV, because that is what buyers are going to be looking at to determine, is this a good deal or not? Because once they buy the property, fix it up, they want to be still under ARV. They don't want to spend more than other homes are going for in the area in the same shape, right? So that's why ARV is important, and it's important to us in our business as well. CMAs are comparative or competitive market analyses. This is something that you or a realtor or really anybody can put together. It will compare the other homes that have the same ARV, and you also want to compare homes that are in similar condition, or as we call them, like cash comps or cash comparables. So these properties are going to be properties that are just like yours. It's important also to know how to do one of these, just in case you do get a buyer who's a little bit more analytical. They don't know a lot yet maybe, but they really want to get into flipping properties or renting properties out. It's really good the more detailed you can be in your PDFs or whatever files you're sending to your buyers, as detailed as you can be, showing the same bedrooms, the same bathrooms. If your property has a pool, that property has a pool. You want it to be the most similar, and you're analyzing all of those properties that are similar to yours. So that's what a CMA is, and you don't really see them a lot in wholesaling, but I like to make them, especially if it's a multi-unit, and I think it really helps sell the deals at top dollar, honestly. Next is a CRM. So you'll hear that a lot in wholesaling because everyone's like, what CRM do you use? So, I mean, there's Podio, there's Real eFlow. A lot of the dialer systems have built-in CRMs. Like I know Mojo Dialer has a pretty cool one. If you're brand new, you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can just use Google Sheets. But it's a customer relations manager. Really, it's a deal tracker. You track the deals that are coming in. Are they a warm lead, a hot lead? When did you last contact them? Where are they now? And then once they go into escrow, you also use your CRM to do your dispositions process. Once it goes into escrow, you follow up with the title company. So it's kind of like a system or a software that you buy, or you can make one for free, honestly, because you can use Podio for free, just depending on how you want to make it. Look up wholesaling CRMs in YouTube, and there's a ton. So, and there's a bunch of how-to guides as well. I use REI Blackbook. I love REI Blackbook just because it kind of does everything for me. It has the seller side and the disposition side. I mainly use it for the disposition side. You can email blast with it, you can text blast, you can do ringless voicemail, but I like it the best because I can track my deals there, keep the pictures, and it makes like single websites for each of your deals, and it's really easy to send those links out to buyers on Facebook, people who text you back from Craigslist. It makes my dispositions, which is selling the deal, that process really, really smooth and easy. So that's a CRM I use, but definitely, it's a little expensive, so definitely start with a free one or just use Google Sheets at first. Aria Blackbook does have like a $1,000 licensing fee, but I will put a link down there so you guys can get the licensing fee waived. I didn't have to pay that because I used somebody else's link as well. I think it's about $200, $250 a month depending on what add-ons you add. Mine is $250 a month, but I think it's well worth it. The next is EMD, Earnest Money Deposit. So Earnest Money is just the money that you're going to put up to secure the deal. You're not necessarily always going to have to put it up. So for example, you talk to a seller, they want to sell their house, say for $200,000. It can be 10% of that, or you can just come up with your own. A lot of people put earnest money like $100, $500. It doesn't really matter. It's really what you and the seller agree to. In my experience so far, I haven't had many sellers even bring it up. They're just like, yeah, I want to sell. When am I going to get paid? And they don't really care about the earnest money. So what I do is whatever my EMD is on my original contract, usually I put $500. I make the earnest money due after the inspection period. I make the inspection period long enough for me to find a buyer, and then the buyer puts down earnest money within 24 hours of signing our contract together. So in essence, I never put down earnest money because the buyer is putting down the earnest money for me. I also make the earnest money double. So if on my contract with the seller, I put the earnest money is $500, my contract with the buyer, the earnest money will be $1,000. That way, worst case scenario, if they don't close on the deal, the seller will still make their $500 that I promised them, and I will make $500 even if the deal doesn't close. So that's just what I do, but people do tons of different things when it comes to earnest money, so whatever works for you. So the next one is your MAO, or your maximum allowable offer. I don't really like to use MAOs, sorry, when I'm doing deals, or if I'm getting like one of my students or someone who's training with me. Giving an MAO, kind of no matter what, if you have an MAO, you're going to end up at your MAO. So it's your maximum allowable offer. So if you know a property can sell to a cash buyer for $50,000, you at least say want to make $10,000, right? So your maximum allowable offer to the seller would be $40,000. The problem with that is you don't want to just jump off the bat and say, I'm not going to give you $40,000, because typically they're not going to go with the first number. They're going to say, well, I wanted 65, and then now you're going to be stuck somewhere where you're not making that much money. It's better to try to get the number out of the seller as much as you can. It does, take a lot of rapport building, making a friend, talking to people for a long time sometimes, and that's the kind of tedious, grueling part about this. Making sure that you know why they want to sell and trying to figure out how much they actually need to make out of the deal. That's how you have bigger assignment fees. When you use an MAO, and say your MAO is $40,000 like we were talking about, and you start off at like, say 30, they might say, well, I really wanted 60. And then you start just going back and forth. Well, I can do 34. Well, I can do 60. Well, I can do 58. Well, I can do 38. Okay, well, no, I really want to be no less than 50. Okay, the most I can do is 40. And now you're at your MAO, and you're at 40 and they're at 50 still. So it's kind of working against yourself. You want to know the most you can offer, of course. So you always want to know your maximum allowable offer, but I wouldn't use it in negotiating. I would really try to get the lowest. So if you're already at 30 and you know your MAO is 40, you already need to start anchoring and being like, well, how close can you get to my number? Because the more you do that, the more you talk about condition, the more you talk about their motivators and kind of press on those pain points, that's when you're going to be able to get them to agree. Sales negotiation, that's like a whole probably freaking month-long course it could be. So I've heard of some good acquisitions classes. There's one acquisitions class by a guy on Instagram. His name is Real Estate Diddy, that someone that I know has taken that, and their VAs took that, and they said it really helped a lot. If you don't know a lot about sales, it probably would behoove you to take something like that, or a sales training class. I'm sure there's tons of sales training out there, but that one is focused on real estate and wholesaling and everything like that. So that might be something for you. I don't know. I'm not like an affiliate or anything like that, but I've heard about it, and a lot of people do ask me, how can I get good at sales if I don't have any sales experience? If you're a self-learner though, there's 2 books that I recommend. The book on negotiating real estate, it's published by Bigger Pockets. I think the author is J.F. Scott, I believe. I might be wrong. And then Never Split the Difference. That's just like negotiations period in life, but it teaches you a lot about psychology and how people think, and it's really important to be good at closing, because that's pretty much the name of the game. If you can't close the deal, if you can't close the seller, you're not going to make any money. So spend a lot of time, spend money if you have to, learning how to close deals if you don't have sales experience. But that was kind of a long rant, but that's what MAO means. Next is the MLS. That is the multiple listing service. That is what realtors use to list properties. It doesn't apply to wholesalers all the time, but a lot of wholesalers do use MLS for pulling leads. If you have a realtor connection or friend, you can also, what I just learned about, they call it double dipping, I guess. You can find a deal on the MLS, offer, say it's been sitting on the MLS for a while, offer something super low, get it under contract with the agent, and tell the agent, hey, you guys can get both sides of the commission, the buyer and the seller side, and then you work in your assignment fee and you sell it to one of your buyers like that. So this is something that I'm pretty sure it won't work in every market, because I'm sure in a lot of markets the cash buyers also have agents that they're working with. Like in the markets that I work in, most of my buyers also have agents that look for properties for them, because they're looking to buy a lot of properties, right? So they have agents looking for properties for them. They have me and probably other wholesalers looking for properties for them. So they might see the deal before you get it under contract. But the MLS, you can get expired listings on PropStream, listings that expired from the MLS, people who just couldn't sell. And those people might be really motivated to sell for very deep discounts as well. So that's what the MLS is. It's the multiple listing service, and it's what realtors use. It's different in each city, state, whatever. So if you have a realtor friend in Vegas, you can't get on the MLS in Florida. It doesn't work like that. Every state has its own. An HOA is a homeowners association. So some properties belong to an HOA. That can affect some things like repairing it. It can affect if you can or cannot even wholesale it. So it's good to know. And also there's HOA fees. So your buyer has to be aware of the HOA fees. They're usually monthly or yearly. But if you get a deal under contract, you can always ask, is it an HOA? In the markets I'm in, there really isn't many. But if you're somewhere more of a metro area or like suburban, there's HOAs everywhere. I live in Vegas. I live actually right now in an HOA building. So they're separate from the property manager, but they basically own the grounds. So that's what an HOA is, a homeowners association. NOI, you will mostly hear this when it comes to commercial properties, apartment buildings. You won't really hear it when it comes to single families or like 2 to 4 multifamilies. You might, but the net operating income is basically the income you make yearly after paying all your expenses on a rental property. So if say you have a 10-unit apartment building and you make $200,000 a year renting that out, but you pay a landscaper 20 grand a year and you pay a property manager 30 grand a year. Now you don't make 200,000 a year, right? You make actually 150. Then you have to subtract the taxes, any maintenance that goes on in the properties when a faucet breaks and a toilet needs repair. All those things are going to be subtracted from the income you make yearly, and that's your net operating income. Net operating income is important when it comes to apartment buildings because people who are purchasing apartment buildings look for a cap rate, which is basically the money that the net operating income, I think it's divided by the value of the property. So most, like if you listen to like Grant Cardone or anybody like that, they'll talk about, you at least want this much of a cap rate, but every investor has their own criteria depending on if it's in a property or area that's going to appreciate or if it's not really appreciating. If like in one of my markets that I'm in, it's really a rental market, but a lot of properties don't really appreciate. There is cap rates that are like 20%, 25%. I sold a 4-unit that had like a 32% cap rate, which is really, really high. But the problem is it's a depreciating or not appreciating area. So it's just going to be a cash cow. It's going to make its money. And then one day that area is probably going to be so bad that they can't really resell it for what they put into it in the beginning. But it's okay because they made more than their money back over the years having it as a rental. So that's what NOI is. And if you want to know more about that, YouTube, commercial properties, cap rates, and stuff like that, and there's people with way more experience and knowledge than me. I've only sold like 2 multifamilies that were 4 or more, so I'm definitely not the expert. Next is DOM, so that's days on market. That's the amount of time it takes for a property to sell on average in any market. I've heard people say so many different things, like a healthy market is between 30 and 45 days or 60 days. The 2 markets that I like the best that I work in, the days on market are like 55 to 65 days, which is fine. Basically, it's just from the day a realtor lists the property to the day the realtor is able to sell the property, averaged among all the properties that have sold. So I know here in Vegas, I think it's a very, very quick turnaround, like 2 weeks to 30 days, because it's definitely a seller's market. Everybody wants to buy a house here, and it's very hard to buy a house. Everything's appreciating here, so days on market is important when you're finding your virtual market. And if you are looking for a virtual market, go back, watch my YouTube video about choosing a virtual market. It's pretty detailed. If not, if you want some really, really in-depth, hands-on, you can get my crash course. That I teach you guys exactly how to research, pick your virtual market, and test it out. Make sure it's where you want to be before you start spending a bunch of money buying leads and buying lists and everything there. So that's important. The market you're in is going to be really important. POF is proof of funds. So when you get a deal under contract, the seller may or may ask you for proof of funds. I have had like maybe 2 people ever ask me, and they were investors, so they knew what it was. If it's a regular homeowner, regular landlord, normally they won't even know. But if they do ask you for proof of funds and you don't have a bank account with a lot of money, there's a website called bettertransactionalfunding.com, and they basically give you like a fake proof of funds, but realtors definitely know about this website. So if it's a realtor asking you for proof of funds, you don't really want to use that website. Proof of funds can be a pre-approval letter, it can be a screenshot of a bank account. But if it's a screenshot of a bank account, they may or may ask you, we want to see your name or your LLC name on it. So just depending. On the flip side, you do want to see proof of funds from cash buyers if you're letting them walk certain properties. So personally, again, like none of this is advice. This is just all what I do. If I have a property that a tenant lives in or the homeowner lives in, I do want to see proof of funds before I let a cash buyer walk it or let their contractors walk it, just because I don't want to be putting any human at risk for COVID or even wasting their time, you know? If this person doesn't even have the money to close, it might be another wholesaler just trying to shop the deal around to other buyers. And I always ask up front, you know, are you a wholesaler or are you planning on closing on this yourself? And even people who are wholesalers will lie and tell you, oh, I'm gonna close on it on myself, or one of my partners will, which is kind of like red flag when they say like one of my partners will. It's like, okay, yeah, I know you're a wholesaler, but it's okay because you can still make money on deals that a wholesaler in turn goes and sells to someone else. I've done so many deals like that, but they will have proof of funds too. Like if it's a good wholesaler and they have real cash buyers and stuff, they'll be able to show you their buyer's proof of funds. So you definitely want to see proof of funds in certain situations. Another situation, if it's a vacant house, like a bando, super messed up, it has a lockbox on it, or it's a board and I'm like, take the board down. I don't really care, honestly. I don't ask to see proof of funds in that case. Just because it's not going to bother anyone or hurt anyone if it is a wholesaler or if it is just someone trying to look-see-loo, you know? Just, this is the address, go ahead, check it out, let me know when you're going. I do like to know when each person is going, if it's a vacant and it has a lockbox, just so I can keep track, because I have had a few instances where people will steal lockboxes, they'll steal the keys for different reasons. Like sometimes they just want the deal so bad they don't want anyone else to see it. And sometimes they want to go try to sell that deal like for fake, like use a quitclaim deed and scam someone. And now they have the key to do that. So you always want to know who and when is going to those properties. That's really important for me because that's happened. One property that was in a really bad neighborhood, I put a lockbox on it. Someone stole the lockbox, stole the key. I had it rekeyed and I had them put another lockbox, but I found out maybe 3 or 4 days later. In the meantime, this person had already showed someone the property, sold them a fake quitclaim deed to the property for $5,000, right? On Facebook. So when the lady saw it on Facebook, after she had got scammed, after she had tried to register the deed and everything, she reached out to me like, are you a part of the team of the guy that scammed me? And by then I already had the house under real contract that's selling for real. So I'm like, no, who was it? She starts going on to tell me, and basically this person scammed someone out of $5,000 because they were able to just go, they had the lockbox code and they walked it. That was one of my earlier mistakes. So it was really sad. And I don't do that. I make sure I know who's going and when, so I know who to come after if something like that happens. And then the last is a PA or an SPA, which is just a purchase agreement, standard purchase agreement. Really simple. That's just the contract that you use to secure the deal. And if you're doing a double close, it's the contract you use to sell the deal as well. If you're not doing a double close, you'll use an assignment contract. That's pretty much it though. Those are the most important acronyms in my opinion. If you know any other acronyms that you think are important that I missed, put them in the comments so everyone else can see them as well. Thank you guys so much again for being here, for being loyal to this YouTube channel. I mean, almost a year of virtual wholesaling now. It's still January, but I started in April, so I'm just a few months away, 9 months in this game, and it's been life-changing. And if you are interested in virtual wholesaling, I'm telling you, just do it. There's enough money for everyone. Don't worry about the competition. Do your market research, do your research, get on YouTube, get obsessed, go crazy. My YouTube channel is full of free stuff. There's so many. And just get started, take action. Let me know how it goes. I'm so excited, guys. Like, share, subscribe. I'm going to put all my links below to the virtual wholesaling crash course. If you need a step-by-step guide, it's only $100. So many people have told me, oh my God, I learned more from your class than classes I paid $500,000 for. Super affordable, super full of information. So go ahead, click the links, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.